What's happening, savages? My name's Immortal Coil, your future minister of whiskey mysticism. And joining me today is our good friend, Kermit the fucking Log. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right, Immortal Coil. How you doing, my friend?
Pretty good. I am relaxing with the final piece of my wild turkey and a couple of Milwaukee's best to back it up. So I'm
Can
about
you space
in
that
the
out according to bedtime? Like,
yeah.
okay, I'm going to bed at 8:30. Gonna what time do you take your last sip before bedtime?
I know. Well, and it's this deal that I make myself. I'm like, okay, this is going to be the last sip. This is going to be the one last sip, and this is going to be the one last final sip before I go to sleep. Yeah.
And then do you have beer?
I do have beer. Yes. I don't know if other people would classify it as beer. I tend to go for the higher gravity content, but it is what it is. So obviously tonight, people.
Good beer.
Good beer. My favorite good beer. I'm really fond of well, shit. This is going to get into some microbrewery. Mac and Jack's. African Amber is delicious nectar. I'm also very fond of Pike Kilt Lifter. And maybe Pike's Kilt Lifter.
Huh.
Yeah. Hail the DKOT. Thank you for showing up.
Hail James. Yo, James, you got to do a stream soon, bro. This week, if you're free, man, we'll Twitter each other, bro. Thanks for being here.
Yes, every view counts.
Are you guys following each other, Immortal?
I follow him. Yes, I haven't spoken with him personally. Probably
you guys should give the reach round sub.
That's probably a good idea. I constantly think that I'm alone on a life raft when that's not the case. I have beautiful friends who is happy to help, not necessarily do the Titanic thing with Leonardo DiCaprio, but like actually pull me on the fucking raft at some point.
I'm not letting anybody on my raft.
So, obviously this is not a show for children. If you have kids, put them to bed. This is for a mature audience, and if you're a bigot, we welcome you. Unless you're a Nazi, then we will kill you openly. Yes.
You know that term Nazi is so loose. It's like there is no real meaning other than the real meaning, you know?
And it's funny how the media like to play fast and loose with terminology. So things that used to mean something get Inigo Montoya'd in public arena.
That's the guy from The Usual Suspects, right? No, Inigo Montoya is the guy from The Princess Brides?
The Princess Bride. Yes, sir. The thing you say, I don't think it means what you think it means.
Hey, do you watch the show Homeland by any chance?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
what's that about?
Well, it's like a blonde chick who's sexy, Claire Danes, and she shows her titties from time to time, and she really looks like she's fucking manic in the show. She's supposed to be a CIA operative who is like always off on her meds, but she's like hunting down Bin Laden, and it is excellent, bro. But Mandy Patinkin is the guy from The Princess Bride, the good-looking guy with the mustache. I guess they both do. I don't know, the dark-haired one, right? He's like 60 in the show, and he's the CIA operative, like the boss. It's tight.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at the chat here, and I did not realize that DKOT was a double dog. So, yes, I agree. You probably need a little Marine puppet. I hope he looks like R. Lee Emery, and I hope that you chew some ass should you ever get called up to the big show. Yes.
You could just, put a G.I. Joe really close to the
Sergeant Slaughter
computer. Yeah.
Yeah. Miss that guy. Yeah, my dog's outside barking. He agrees. Yeah,
I've never seen My So-Called Life, Decot Rebels, but yeah, I would like to watch it now, dude. I've never seen. She's such a good actress because she's like flipping out all the time, like she doesn't have her Chardonnay and her pills, and she's trying to catch Bin Laden, and she looks so fucked up, and it's so believable, but she's still sexy, dude. Oh man.
Well, yeah, So-Called Life is like teenage '90s drama, so she would be unrecognizable to you in her current state. It's a decent show. It's just kind of like the crisis of the week kind of shit.
That sounds like white people shit.
White people problems. For real. In the 90s, white people problem. That is totally on the fucking nail. He has a Sergeant Slaughter. Okay. Yeah, dude. And so you don't even have to have Cotton to be in Cotton Connection, huh?
You don't even have to be Cotton. No, you could. You could make your own sock puppet too. Like I've honestly thought about doing that just so I never. People always tweet me or send me messages like, "I'm going to report you to Disney for licensing Kermit the Frog, whatever, motherfucker." You know. So I was thinking about just making a sock puppet.
They're clearly two separate characters. You know,
I agree, but I am using a puppet from there, you know, but I took off his collar and I made his eyes look like he's been on cocaine. So I don't know.
Well, how do we know that the real Kermit isn't actually on cocaine? Because how the fuck else could you put up with all that shit?
Yeah. Everybody that has a hand up your ass that far for that long, you need to be on cocaine.
You need to have some sort of effervescent.
Mental lube.
Mental lube. Shit, man. So how you doing, Kermit? What's been going on with your channel, man? Why don't you advertise to
I just
my 180 subscribers?
Just constantly moving 1 inch at a time forward up the ass of the world, bro.
Yeah, one digit at a time.
Yeah, I don't put out content every day, but every content I put out, I think is fucking balls to the wall, absolutely incredible. I love my shit and I love myself and I love the people I interact with, like you, my good sir, and James in the chat and all the trans fatties, you know, all my good people in the internet world I'm friends with, like Ben, Death by Saber, Megs, and Snowdub, and you know, dude, yeah, I'm working on good shit, dude. What am I working on right now? I don't want to mention that one sports one I was telling you about, you know, because I'm gonna go on that Tuesday night, and I think people will like that. And I don't know if you saw one video I did a couple weeks ago, but I'm working on this. I'm part 2 to it, and it was a screenwriting video, and I'm myself in it, except to wear a Donald Trump mask.
Well, that's a straight sex bomb, if you ask me, man.
But yeah, I'm doing like a how to write a screenplay along with me while I'm writing my screenplay, and my screenplay is fucking awesome too.
Okay, well, so we have D-Cot in the chat. I appreciate that, and here's my way to make sure that you're not stealing valor. What was your MOS, D-Cot, right now?
Wait, say that again. Are you talking to him or me?
I was talking to D-Cot. I want to know what his MOS was.
I don't even know what that is.
He knows if he was a Marine. Well, while we wait for that, let's go ahead and start in on tonight's topic.
Hey, well, what are you doing, bro?
What am I doing? So I got 2 videos like on the back burner. I'm doing this. I've been thinking about this because I'm on the 4th wave. Okay, and that's me and author Stephen Walton. We got a Final Death Star.
Is that his first name?
His first name indeed is author. He pulled Excalibur out from some sort of probably the Lord of the Rings, you know, and it turned out looking like the Zelda Master Sword.
Nice.
So his geek cred is on fleek, and I can't believe I just said that.
Yeah, I don't even know what the fuck that means, bro.
It's gay. I have a plane flying over me, so go ahead and entertain us for some time.
Okay, D-Cot says, I want to interview the man behind the frog. Bro, you can interview Bird anytime you want, bro. And I do have, like I said, I got a little idea for a video I've been thinking about having you in mind where, you know, like you'd be a guest weekly, maybe I do it once a week, and I'd like to come up with joke ideas, looking at Yahoo News and comedy websites to try to find premises for jokes. And if people in the chat can come up with the punchline or a joke, then they can get their name as a writing credit on the PMS show. But yeah, you know, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, bro. D-Cot James, you and me will have a private chat this week, bro. Tomorrow.
Yeah. Let's go. So if you look at the chat here, Kermit, this is exactly what I was looking for. So he was 1142. He was an electrical engineer. He went to school at Courthouse Bay. And these are things that any military person should be able to rattle off like it's their fucking birthday. And if you ever see somebody who's dressed in military uniform who can't do this, punch him in the fucking face. He deserves it because, dude, stolen valor is not cool. Yeah, anyway. Yes, sir, Decod. You're a good man. So crack open your beverage of choice. I'm gonna have a sip off my Milwaukee's Best, which is not glamorous, but it's what's in my hand. What are you drinking tonight, Kern? Coors fucking Light. Look at this guy. All right, he's doing it. I'm gonna do it too. Salute.
Salute, primo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. So tonight's topic is time travel. And I love to think about shit like this, man. So, like, you talk to all your drinker buddies, you talk to all your stoner buddies, and they're like, oh, if I had a time machine. And you have a magnificent conversation. But I don't see a lot of that on YouTube. Why are people scared of heady topics, Kermit? What's your opinion, sir?
Because sex sells and people like fucking stupid ass Transformer films, and you know, you got to think.
That's why I think
is.
Yeah, well, that's why I think I'm circling 180 right now, because my tits aren't big enough and my you know, I'm not hot enough. Now I'm not pondering transitioning. No.
You never know.
I just
Don't
think
that shit up, bro.
No, I just think that my brand of ugly probably has to find the proper audience, you know. But that's what's stupid. So I'm gonna go live real fast.
Have you?
I've actually been told I'm quite handsome and slightly intimidating. My job in life is to one day stream with both Ethan Van Sciver and Drunk 3PO, and we're gonna have a show called The Handsome Menace.
Ooh.
Mark my fucking words, it will happen before I dry up and turn into a turnip. It will happen. Okay. The other thing I want to do is a
talking about drying up, made my pussy wet.
Yeah. I want to give a brief public service announcement to my coworker Devin. Take your hand off your dick while you're listening to me. That's enough. Thank you. Okay. So, time travel. There are a couple of movies that I think kind of anchor this concept, and I will try to bundle it up in a neat little package towards the end. Let's go ahead and let's start talking about Terminator. What was your opinion about that movie, Kermit?
I mean, I'm not a fucking, you know, space scientist and shit, but I really, really, really absolutely loved Terminator 1 and 2.
Yeah, we don't speak about the other ones.
I actually really like part 3. You know, I don't really like it, but in retrospect, I like it compared to what's been out. I mean, it's not the first 2 are masterpieces. The third one is a pretty cool film. It's just, if it was just made its own film, if that was the only Terminator film we've ever seen, it'd be well liked.
Well, that's what's funny about when you fire the guy who made it up from the movies. It turns into shit. Yes, right. The first 2 Terminators are flawless masterpieces, in my opinion. And the only way that they could find to go forward was to completely murder them. I am aware of what happens in this latest Terminator movie, but I disavow it. It's not part of my headcanon.
You mean when fucking built-ass young Arnold walks up on the beach in the first opening minute of the film and shoves his fist up 12-year-old John Connor's ass?
Yes. Now, what is the proper method of fisting, Kermit? Do you stick your hand in there and form the fist afterwards, or do you go with the fist from the get-go?
The first rule of Fist Club is there are no rules.
The Fist Club. I like that. Fist Club. Can we make a hashtag out of that? That's some good shit. Well, so here's my thing is that Terminator, with Terminator specifically as it relates to time travel, I think that Skynet and John Connor create each other. I don't think that there could be a Skynet without John Connor, and I don't think John Connor could be alive if it weren't for Skynet.
So which one's the chicken and which one's the egg?
It's a chicken and the egg, yeah. So, you know, John Connor in the future sends his own dad back to fuck his own mom,
Because he needs to live.
Because he needs to live. And Skynet's like, whoa, 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 whoa. If I stop this from happening, then we can rule the world. But it seems like it's that self-creating Genesis, right? So,
I think if he wasn't such a selfish motherfucker and didn't send his dad back in time and just all of a sudden disappeared, what's the name for Back to the Future was going to, then there would be no what's the corporation? The machines. There'd be no what's the who the black guy works for?
Cyberdyne.
Yeah, there'd be no
systems. Yeah. Well, that's what's funny because in T2, Sarah Connor's like character arc was that she was facing the idea that she couldn't be a human being. Like she had to be as cold and calculating as a machine in order to kill this motherfucker to stop him from working on the CPU.
I wasn't going to masturbate tonight.
But now you might have to.
And I'm going to have to look at the scene in T2 when the guy licks her face when she's asleep. Now, I'm sorry I just said that out loud. FBI, please don't come to my house.
No, but that's a very real moment in cinema history. And honestly, like in 1991, is that when that was? Linda Hamilton's face was pretty lickable.
Oh, man, she is bad, dude. I like her better in that one than in T1.
Well, so she's doing pull-ups. She's got some fucking deltoids going on. She's not unfeminine. She's just like sporty.
Right, right. It's almost a little too much. But I do like a woman that hits back.
Oh, yeah. Nobody likes a dead fish fuck. Have you ever had one of those, Kermit? Like just a lady that lays there?
Nobody that was alive.
And we can't comment about that on air. What kind of a lay is Piggy?
However the fuck I want, bro.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, so, and it's funny to me, like the longer this franchise wrenches on, the less they have to do with it. I think the last time that I really enjoyed a Terminator film was probably the one that Batman was in.
Oh yeah, that was entertaining. I like the one with the guy who they tried making him a film star for a couple of years. The guy from Avatar.
Oh yeah,
that wasn't bad, but it's like, God, unless it's a masterpiece, it's so hardly judged. Maybe it's even harshly judged than Star Wars, bro. Because I mean, like I said, after the first two, the next 3 or 4 were not terrible films. This newest one was pretty bad.
Yeah. There was a concerted effort to inject girl power into it, and the fact that, like you're saying, they dispense with John Connor in the first 5 minutes of the movie, cleans the table
in a disrespectful way. Why couldn't they? It's like they couldn't have the man as the lead. Give it, albeit though that guy did look like a piece of shit. He's been smoking cigarettes up his ass since he's been 12. The guy playing John Connor.
Yeah, he looks like a pile of shit, man.
He looks like a lesbian, but they could have prepped him a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, look what they did to Carrie Fisher. Enough, he could have got in there.
Sure.
He could have got some younger dude. I mean,
fucking run some P90X on his ass. Yeah, dude.
Hell yeah, man. But dude, it was a bunch of it was straight. So it was like so political, like the stuff that has to do with ICE, and it's about a woman on the other side of the border, Latina, who she's the real John Connor. We just didn't tell her. Come on.
Well, they're trying to fucking Ray Palpatine Terminator 2.
They did that, dude. They really, they just made it. It's like they went back in time and shot Luke on Tatooine in the head.
Pretty much. Yeah, he didn't even need his hand, but they're gonna take it away anyway. And dude, and I read like the early draft had like his hand floating through space and all that kind of shit. Like, Jesus Christ, these people don't realize. So you also mentioned Back to the Future. Now, this is an interesting time travel movie because I think that Doc Brown, Christopher Lloyd from Taxi, and I get amused at the idea that the guy from Taxi is the one that came up with fucking time travel. He actually invents time travel because he realized he fucked up down the line and he wants to stop it from happening. Voss.
I thought he invented time travel when he hit his head in the bathroom.
Well, yeah, he invented the flux capacitor, but like he went to the future and he figured out that everybody's an asshole. So he went back to the past.
Old man Doc Brown went back and invented it, and then
yeah, and then fucking Marty McFly had to go back in time and tell him how to invent it.
They should have sent him back in time to figure out how to not get Parkinson's.
I don't know, but that would be funny. Is there a cure for Parkinson's back then? Was it just your dad beating the shit out of you?
Yeah.
Don't be a prick. Pow.
Yeah.
Stop having Parkinson's. Pow.
I'm gonna beat the mom because my son's a retard.
A retard. Yes, sir. I mean, these are the things that we have to ask ourselves. And I also find it highly suspect that do you play guitar or anything, Kermit? Like, or do you just listen to the radio? No?
No.
Well, okay. So I'm gonna get into some technicalities here. But you go back in time to the 1950s, and the only way to get that sort of sound out of an amplifier is to turn it all the way the fuck up to where you can't hear nothing else. And I'm sorry, all those people would have.
What sound?
The Eddie Van Halen sound. It's called the Brown sound, believe it or not. And it's
Can they imitate that now?
It's very no. This has been around since the 80s. They like as soon as Eddie Van Halen jumped, they called it the Brown sound. It's a different sound than the Brown sound that you make.
You talking about anal sex? What?
I know, right? No, I'm talking about Eddie Van Halen. So Marty McFly goes back in time to the 1950s and plays Van Halen. He also pretended to be Mr. Spock and Darth Vader at the same time.
Right?
Do you remember
he played some... Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. That's one of my favorite... that's everybody... I'm 37. I think I'm 37. Honestly, I don't know right now. I think I'm 37. How old are you, bro?
I'm 38, man. So we're in the same fucking niche.
Yeah, then anybody about our age, had the Back to the Future DVD and VHS, and it's almost like it is now. That's why I'm like, like this shit going down. Like we were born in darkness. You know what I mean? Like we're ready for this. I got my DVD collection. As long as the lights stay on, I'm all good. But it's just like, yeah, I grew up watching. I'd watch Back to the Future 10 times in a week. You know what I mean? Like same thing with Star Wars. And people now are.
Well, on a similar topic, Bill and Ted. I was watching that the other day with my woman, and she has a 7-year-old boy. And there are certain elements in that film that, while it's entertaining, people can't relate to it anymore because, number one, there's not phone booths. Right? So I don't know what the fuck Superman does anymore.
He goes into a gender-neutral bathroom.
He does. He goes into an Obama bathroom.
A trans bathroom.
Yeah, and he turns into super person.
Yeah, there's no more Superman than super person. That's funny.
Super person. Yes.
Super them. Them.
Super them they. Yes. Don't assume his pronoun, Kermit. God damn it.
That's funny.
All right. So, yeah, Bill and Ted, man, they're supposed to come out with the new one. And this is like post-Neo, post-John Wick, returning to Ted. Do you think you could pull it off?
Yeah, I do, of course. And it's going to be great. And people, like, fuck, if that movie was already on production or produced right now, if they released that right now straight to on demand, do you know how much they would sell on fucking shit like that? You know what I mean? This week when nobody to watch.
Can they do that without George Carlin? I mean, he's such a fucking master.
Yeah, they can. They can. They could replace him if they, honestly, they did somebody right, and they wouldn't do it, but they should place him with Louis C.K.
You know what they should do is replace him with Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson might be a little old.
He might, but they have that like a de-aging computer algorithm now.
Woody Harrelson could do it, maybe.
Woody Harrelson. You know what they should do is like go down the list of famous Georges.
With Woody Nelson.
Woody Nelson
in Hawaii. Them and Bill Maher.
Yeah. Or they should get Tom Hanks to dress up like the cowboy in Toy Story and have him be Rufus.
That's funny. But side note, I don't want to get in the conversation about it, but I know people hate on Bill Maher for being leftist, but I like him. He differs on opinion from when I feel a lot of shit, but he also tells it to liberals like it is, which is a much needed slap in the face that they need. And he's a liberal, so it helps. But anyways. Well,
and just to touch on that point, I think that they're scared of men with balls.
Oh,
anybody, you're not allowed to have balls if you're in the public broadcasting profession. You have to tuck your balls.
Bill Maher has little balls. He's probably like 5'4", but he puts them on the table.
Yeah, he's like, here they are.
Yeah, they hate
you might not agree with them, but I present them. Yeah. Here's what I have to work with, gentlemen.
Great. Hey, so I don't think you've seen my last PMS show, but my last joke is like Kermit's like something. I forget what the joke is. Fuck, but it's like, what's a transgender vagina? And now I'm tripping. I'm stuttering over my words. Basically, it's a dink.
It's a dink.
Like, what's a dink? I'm like, a dink is a transgender vagina. That's funny, but yeah, it's called a dink.
Well, that's funny because that reminds me of Spaceballs right away, where they're like, ding, ding.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, yeah. Because my joke is 2 in the dink, 1 in the stink. And Miss Piggy, Miss Piggy, who has her mouth covered because I tape her mouth, she's like, I'm like, the dink is the transgender vagina.
And I wonder, how often does Kermit pop up in your like day-to-day vocalization?
It used to pop up more, bro, but
you have control over it now?
A little less. I don't know. Yeah, it does pop up though. Sometimes it'll hit me like I am on puberty.
So you just kind of like
Yeah, right. Yeah, it does kind of come out like Wookie. Hey, Decot though says, I like Bill Maher too, even when I disagree with him. I recognize his intelligence, and he definitely tells liberals like it is. Amen, bro. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I think everybody's allowed to have an opinion. Bill Maher is a loud asshole, but
unless you're a liberal who thinks, unless you're not even a liberal, unless you're the far left who thinks unless you agree with them, you should have an opinion.
Right.
Only people that agree with them should have an opinion. That's the people that I hate. Those are the real fascists.
Oh, yeah. So if you had a time machine, Kermit, what would you do? How would you use it?
I'd go back in time and I would murder the fuck out of Harvey Weinstein so that he would have started this Me Too era bullshit, which has ruined humanity.
Well, but it did give you impetus to create He Too, which I think is a very valid movement. So
I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a valid movement. I think there's so many cases that are probably bullshit. Even Harvey Weinstein one, I don't think he did. From what I've read, I don't think he pinned somebody down and fucked them. And so if you suck his dick for a part, that's rape.
I think it's that. I think that sometime perhaps in the 70s or 80s or 90s, he was in a position where he was able to say, yeah, I'll get you a part. All you have to do is suck my dick.
Yeah. And that was called gaining power and being a man throughout the history of humanity, pretty much, like.
Well, and then I remember Clarence Thomas and all that shit interrupted my Saturday morning cartoons so that affirmative action could be a thing, and listen, I'm not saying like, okay, if you're a woman and you're talented, yes, your talent deserves to be recognized
for sure.
But if you chose to suck a dick, live with it. Live with it
for sure.
It's like, yes, I was in that movie and I sucked a dick to do it, and it made me $1 million. You don't get to cry 10 years later and be like, I had to suck a dick.
Absolutely.
You've sucked dick before, and you suck dick after. You're just upset now.
If he corners you and fucks you, that's rape. If he drugs
That's rape.
That's rape. That's about it, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, but if he says, all you have to do is suck my dick, and you go, I think I could suck a dick.
What's the difference between that and saying, hey, bitch, you want to ride home? Yeah, well, open your mouth. Closed mouths don't get fed.
Yes. So you'd go back in time and you would assassinate that guy, or would you just be like,
I would go back in the time, honestly, to like 1980 or 1990, and I'm 37, so before my more prominent years. My favorite years in my life were when I was 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I think like most of us, right? But
sure.
I would go back I would go back and live in a time even before that, because that was for me when I was like that was like 2001, 2002, 2003, 4, 5. But I would go back to like 80s, early 80s, early 90s, before the pussies took over.
See, I wonder about that. Like, it would be interesting to visit decades that I was perhaps too immature to grok it in fullness. But I also kind of want to go back in time and see what the fuck actually happened when the pyramids were built and when Stonehenge was built, and if Jeebus was even a real person.
Right.
I have theories about that, but you know, it's like I've also heard that the Vatican and the fucking Holy Roman Papal whatever admitted that they plagiarized shit. And could Jesus be a made up person? What do you think, man?
I think he's probably a couple people. I don't know. I grew up very Catholic, and my mom, she's 70. She still teaches at the Catholic school in the city. This is supposed to be her last year teaching, and they sent her home early because of all the shit going down. But my favorite thing to like research and stuff is like the history of religion. You know, in college, I took the history. Like my favorite class I probably took was the history of Western civilization. You know, that my favorite class. That wasn't a film class, but I'm really interested in that. Jesus, the Nicene Council, where they basically in the year 300, I think, came up with the version
the canon of Bible.
Yeah, the canon, exactly. And you know, I really find a lot of interest in the what do you call it? The Templar Knights.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever hear about Mithras?
No.
It's funny. Around the same time Jesus was supposed to be around, he was a guy who did miracles and had 12 disciples and made water into wine and raised from the dead after 3 days. Yeah. The similarities.
Pepsi. He's Pepsi.
He is. He's Crystal Pepsi.
Yeah, dude. You know, in my screenplay that I told you I was doing that video about screenplays, and my screenplay I'm trying to work on at this moment is basically everything I want to do is like horror films, but it's a vampire film, and it's it's supposed to be a ripoff of Dusk Till Dawn, and instead of running to Mexico, it's in 1912, and the two bank robbers are basically running to get on the Titanic. And once they get on the Titanic, it turns out to be a vampire feeding frenzy.
You know, and I have dedicated several what's it called? Like the I've dedicated many a load to Salma Hayek.
Oh,
she
man, I was making the videos for my last one with it, and I'd have to stop like every 15 minutes to pump toad loads.
Oh yeah, dude. Between her and Deanna Troi from Star Trek,
Marina
Sirtis, you should look her up from the 90s, man. She wore like a gray body sock, basically.
Wow.
And it totally killed my desire for skinny bitches.
Wow.
Right, like so everybody knows about Tommy and Pamela Anderson, right?
Yeah, of course.
Pamela Anderson was rarely shot from the waist down because she has no fucking body. She looks like a 2x6. Yeah. And I'm sorry if you like Pamela Anderson. I'm sure she's a lovely person, but I would do it out of curiosity, but and
she looks like a golf ball through a garden hose.
At this point in time, yes. But what I was saying is like women like Marina Sirtis and women like Salma Hayek.
Your boy in the chat, Deacon James, Rebels, he loves Gina Carano.
Oh, does he?
Okay. You know, she's a little big for me, only for my Mandalorian. I don't like my Mandalorians to look like a bag of refried beans.
Well, and I like Latinas. I'm not gonna.
I do too.
Yeah,
she is. I'm saying, like, if I saw her in person, I would give anything to have sex with Gina Carano. I'm just talking about like in the galaxy far, far away in Hollywood. But no, I was telling you about my screenplay only because my sequel and my original idea was all about Jesus Christ being a vampire hunter. And
that would be awesome. It's kind of like when Abraham Lincoln was one, right?
Exactly. It was straight. I mean, I read the Abraham Lincoln vampire book, but my idea was that Jesus. So this is where my sequel happens. After the guy survives the Titanic, he basically becomes like a Indiana Jones vampire hunter guy. But in my story for the Jesus Christ, he was
Was he a superstar?
When he was killed on the cross, he could never be killed.
So he turned into an undead.
He's undead, but he's not a vampire. But if you
does he still have his god power, or is he?
Yeah, he has he can double jump in the air. He could do like a full push. He could run on water. But have you ever seen the show Preacher?
Yes.
You know when the angels die, they reappear in like a burst of light, and the dead body's still there.
Oh shit!
In Preacher, if the angel gets killed, the body's still there, and then a burst of light happens right next to the body, and then that angel is reanimated, fully formed, ready to go. So that's how I pictured my.
So they respawn.
And so when in the year 0, when he's killed on the cross, he's respawned, but it takes him 7 days to recover. And in that time, the vampires have taken over. You know, they run all of Egypt, they run the Roman Empire at the time, and Jesus
so he's
Christ,
hanging. So just to paint a picture, he's hanging. And he's like, Father, this is what I must do. And they nail him and they stab him and he dies. And when he wakes up, he's like, oh, shit.
Yes, which makes him mad at his dad, who's God. And the biggest problem with Jesus is he can't fucking die. You know what I mean? At some points, he's going to want to. And he can't.
So does Jesus ever get drained in your novelization?
Drained?
Yeah, blood-wise.
I'm not sure. But he does at the Council of Nicaea. It's a trap. And I forgot the top of my head who the person running Egypt at the time was, but it's a trap. And they actually tossed Jesus in a pit. That's like a giant pit. And so for 600 years, he just keeps dying. He falls at the bottom of the pit and he reanimates next to his dead body. And he just dies every couple years, or when he kills himself, and reanimates and just lives on a stack of his own dead bodies for 600 years until
That's pretty nuts, man.
Until the who are the what do you call it? The guys I was telling you about, the Templar Knights. The Templar Knights discovered Jesus on a rack of Jesus's bodies in 1100, and that's how they come into power, is through Jesus.
So he dies so many times, and his body is still there. But he's
rising up on a rack of Jesus bodies. He
has to die over and over again to get out of this pit,
which drives him kind of crazy, like Darth Maul, kind of, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, well, let's. I be talking about my shit the whole time.
Let's go ahead and say, "Hail, Tom! Thank you for joining us."
Hail! I feel really bad because I'm only gonna be able to stop for a few minutes. I've been a solid wall of streams all day, and everything went longer than I planned. So
we only have about half an hour left, anyway. So I appreciate you gracing my channel. Tom is a big fucking deal, and I only have 180 subs. So the fact that you're hail Tom, and the fact that you care about little guys, that's fucking awesome, man. So we were talking about time travel, Tom. What's your favorite time travel movie or series?
Well, as I said in our private conversation, I really sucks that I missed this conversation. I'm not going to be able to stay too long because I got a stupid appointment in the morning I got to get ready for. But my favorite time travel movie is probably Back to the Future. I think it simplified the time travel idea and took out some of the paradoxical elements that, kind of creep up when it comes to getting into the physics of it all. And all that kind of stuff. But I mean, overall, I think it handles the rules the best from beginning to end through the entire trilogy compared to some other time travel movies. And then probably Terminator's the second best handled series as far as time travel goes, maybe.
Well, we touched on that. I thought it would be funny if Christopher Lloyd from Taxi was the same Dr. Brown who invented time travel.
That totally would blow my mind.
Oh, yes. So we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Doctor Who. I don't know if Kermit's like well versed in the lore, but you seem like you've been a Whovian for a minute, Tom.
Way back in the day, like one of the last things I really remember was when they kind of started bringing it. I remember they were on hiatus for a few years. And I remember they started bringing it back, and I remember watching a couple of those. But really, my knowledge of it is way back when. I remember they tried to do an American version on Fox, but no, honestly, I'm not as big of a Who fan as you would think. And it's not like I don't like it. It's just, it's never been something I had the time to get into. And it's not like by choice necessarily, just haven't had the time or the access to it more than anything.
Well, amongst geeks, which I think we're all geeks, but you had to be like a special sort of sub geek to really like Doctor Who.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, so oh, go ahead.
I've never seen an episode, or maybe I've tried to watch it a couple times, but I feel like I would like it if I gave it the time, but I never have really.
Well, there's like peaks and valleys, man. There's some really good Who, like when it's at its best, is on par with like Star Trek and Star Wars and all that stuff. But like, it sucks out loud. Like you can't listen to it.
Don't watch the Jodie Foster stuff?
No. We don't speak of her. No, and okay, so the final thing I want to talk about, because we got about, 10 more minutes, 15 more minutes. 12 Monkeys. Have you guys seen that?
I did way back when it first came out. I was all right. I didn't think it was one of Gilliam's best, but it was pretty good. I'm trying to remember most of the movie.
Well, so the premise of...
But I remember, it's about a guy who claims to be from the future, and he knows all this stuff, and he's in an insane asylum in the beginning, and I remember that. And I believe that's the Bruce Willis character or whatever.
It's Brad Pitt and Bruce Willis.
And Brad Pitt, yeah.
Brad Pitt is responsible for spreading a bioengineered virus that completely fucks up the future. Yeah. And then Bruce Willis has to go back in time and stop it. And somehow he saw his adult form as a child, and it stayed with him. So it's like this ever-going paradox. But it's also interesting because it's about a global pandemic, which seems relevant at this point.
Honestly, if I probably watched it now compared to when I first saw it, I would probably appreciate it much more. Like when I first saw it, it was just kind of like one of those next kind of movies when it first came out, because I was at that age yet where I didn't really get into some of the really deeper, cooler sci-fi stuff. I was just more into, the typical fare. So
we're going to give a shout out to the Rookie Critic.
Hey, Jeff.
He is
a Rookie Critic.
Yeah, he's a fellow trans fatty. We're going to be doing a film project here coming up pretty quick. So thanks for stopping by, bros. All right, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, now I bet you it'd be a movie I'd appreciate a hell of a lot more than I did when it first came out at my age when I first saw it.
Yeah, and shit, I was probably like 20 when I first saw it, and it was all right. Now I had already seen like Star Trek 4 and been into that kind of time travel. So
that's another good example there, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've never really watched Trek either.
Oh, really? Dude, Star Trek 4 is probably besides Wrath of Khan, it's probably number 2 in Star Trek movies, right? With the old cast.
Yeah, most people enjoy it, and I'd say it's a good entry point for anybody who's completely novice when it comes to Trek, because it's the easiest to digest. Because I've pointed out that it doesn't even need to be a Star Trek movie. You can just kind of look at it as these people from the future need a whale to save Earth, and they come to our present day, and comedy ensues because they're fish out of water. That's really all it is.
I might check that shit out tonight, dude.
I would highly
and just the
encourage
premise
it.
itself just sounds like something out of like a Galaxy Quest kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But then, so my big question for tonight is time travel subjective or objective? Do you think it only changes your own personal perspective traveling through time? Or do you think like doing something for the greater good, does that even matter? Because you're the one traveling in time. What do you think?
I think it depends on the person.
Yeah.
My overall feeling is, or at least my belief, when you really get to the nitty gritty of the quantums of it and everything, like as far as like, you know, the whole paradox of if you go back to stop JFK from being shot, then why did you go back in the first place if you stop it from happening? So you create a paradox on yourself. If you're willing to, I guess at that point, theoretically, you would just sacrifice your own existence because another version of you would exist, but it wouldn't be that same version. And that's the paradoxical problem is even it doesn't matter what you do, even the moment you go back in time and change one little thing that could change any outcome, especially, I guess that answers your question as far as like the personal part of it. I guess as long as you don't do anything to yourself or that would affect your personal timeline, you might be able to go back to a similar timeline, but I don't think it would be the same.
So like if John Connor, we were talking about this earlier, if John Connor chooses when he gets to that point in his life not to send his dad back in time, then that would be a self-sacrifice. I think that would work.
Kind of. And then you could also kind of you could kind of bring up like, well, why wouldn't he just send himself back in time? Well, because he knows that that's his dad.
Well, but it's also that thing. Like I don't necessarily subscribe to Back to the Future physics where
it makes it clean and easy, but unfortunately that's not reality. I don't think if
he fails, if John Connor fails to send his dad back in time, I don't think that version of John Connor would just fade out of existence. I think that his fucking path had brought him to that point, and he has a choice, like Kermit said. So he can either send Kyle Reese back, or he can just go ahead.
If you're arguing, that if it's an alternate dimension, no matter what, then it already happened. So like the version that he's sending back wouldn't matter. That's, that kind of creates the whole paradoxical thing. It's like you could technically keep your dad now because another version of your dad already went back and created you. Exactly. See, that's the problem is I believe kind of in the doppelganger theory more or less. And that's just created like either you're going to rip time and space apart if you were to do something like that. And the whole Doc Brown theory of, you could just, because that's how they kind of toss it off to the side. It's like, in reality, you'd probably rip space and time apart if you actually traveled through time. But if you didn't, this is how it would work. And that's a pretty clean example of what could possibly happen. But no, I think if you've ever seen a movie like Primer, which is a very independent film that really kind of explores like what happens when you do create. I think that I don't know what you got from that movie because it doesn't really give you answers per se. But what I think that movie is telling us is that each time they would time travel, they were creating alternate universes and doppelgangers of themselves that aren't exactly the same person. And that's the point is the moment you go in time, back in time and disrupt any kind of point of that time, because that just you being there disrupts that time period and creates an alternate dimension.
Every one of you would be like a photocopy, just not the same.
Kind of, but it's just another version that didn't go back in time. It's really kind of it's difficult to wrap your head around, but it's like the moment you go back in time, that version of you never exists anymore because your time doesn't exist unless you are able to. I don't know if you could actually physically do that. If you were to, let's just theoretically say, go back in time, that's the problem you create for yourself is you can't necessarily go back to your original time period. And I don't know if you could, even if you don't disrupt anything, because just your being there is a disruption.
Well, and then Decott brings up an interesting point. So in Quantum Leap, he did travel time, but he's also jumping into different personas.
Because in his history, the things that he sets right weren't right in the first place. That's the thing. So it's
according to who? According to who?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So you're kind of what you're seeing would be patient zero, is I think what they're kind of explaining to you is like in our world, in our reality, this is what really happened, but it's because of him being through Quantum Leap, it happened that way. If it hadn't happened that way, this is what the reality we would have seen, and that's kind of what Quantum Leap is setting up. Is this, and I think that's what it is. It's kind of it's an alternate reality kind of thing. I think that's the one thing that everybody kind of disregards, and they kind of got right with Endgame, and then they kind of threw out at the window at the last minute. Was they kind of had the right idea when at least in my opinion, when Bruce is like, you can't go back in time and do certain things because once you leave, you can't go back to your same time period, kind of thing. And
is that why Captain America was old or no?
See, that's the thing, is he could have come back, but I think he chose not to. But what that does then is it just opens up the possibility of, well, was he there the whole time throughout these movies? And that's like a friendly retcon that doesn't disrupt.
He had to have been then, right?
Yeah, if you go by the end game, what happened in the movies, then yes, he's probably the one that whenever they talked about, that Peggy married, he changed his name, whatever kind of thing. Yeah,
I'll go back in time to fuck Peggy too.
Right on, guys.
She's fine, dude. She is so fine. Goddamn.
No, time travel is fun to kind of try and wrap your head around, and you just kind of go, well, wait a minute, it's like. Because I see the thing is most scientists will say traveling to the future, not a problem. Traveling to the past, big problem.
That's interesting.
Because once you travel the future, you can travel to your own future. You just won't exist for 20 years or whatever, however long you travel. You know what I mean? Because we technically could time travel by going through space, and if you can manage to get close enough to the speed of light, your aging process would slow down,
would change, yeah,
and it would be in less time. Like it would feel like, let's say 9 months for you would be 9 years for Earth, for instance, if you're at the right. Then you
come back to Planet of the Apes.
Basically, yeah. Theoretically, that kind of shit is a hell of a lot more probable, and we could actually probably do that today if we could just get into outer space and travel near the speed of light at least. Yeah, then we could probably accomplish something like that. But really, you're just basically traveling faster than everybody else, so you're aging less. That's just all it is.
I mean, if Lethal Lightning came to my house, he'd be going back in time.
Well, honestly,
yeah, well.
And I don't think aliens would allow us into interstellar space anyway, because we're such a fucked up planet.
Yeah, I think there's a reason why we haven't gotten prominent visitations from any kind of intelligent life, if there is any out there, definitely.
Oh yeah, dude. I think that there's probably like a buoy outside of the Oort cloud and it says steer clear. These guys are still figuring it out.
We're pretty primitive, so yeah. I'm sure of them. Why do you think they chose to just deal with the cows for now?
No, totally. They tried to show us something in Sumeria and Akkad, and they're like, okay, this isn't going to work. Let's just kind of remove ourselves.
Even aliens like cheese.
Oh, of course. Of course.
That or they're just messing with our food supply, one or the other.
Yeah. So, have you guys ever heard of the Montauk Project?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Trying to remember. It sounds familiar. Let me look it up.
So it was supposed to be another time travel thing linked to the Philadelphia experiment. But
okay.
Yeah. So it's just more tinfoil hattery. But it's not a funny joke if you guys don't know about it.
Sorry, I'm not as familiar, obviously, with that as I am like the Philadelphia and all that kind of shit. Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
But no, anything time travel I love in movies and stuff like that. I mean, I even love like Time After Time. Even Somewhere in Time is a good movie.
What do you guys think about Looper? I know it's Rian Johnson, but
sadly, it'll probably go down as one of his better movies.
Yeah, definitely.
I like the concept.
It's a pretty good film.
And the reason it works is because it's simple, and I think that's what he forgot when he was doing The Last Jedi. And JJ oversimplified The Force Awakens, for that matter. You got to hit that nice medium when it comes to movies like that. And I mean, I feel like, Back to the Future just handled it cleanly to where everybody could understand the rules. Terminator's kind of similar. You kind of understand the rules. You can only go back.
Absolutely.
That, So, I mean, as long as the rules are solid, you're fine. If you get to like Endgame, even though I do enjoy the movie more than most, and you start changing your rules as the movie goes along, then I get kind of irritated.
You like Endgame the most out of the two, or just
no? I just like it more than most people did. Because when I first saw it, I was like, it's all right. And then I'm like, after I saw it on video, I'm like, you know what? It actually held my interest, and I thought it held up better than I thought. But
I can't wait to go. I might have a couple more beers after this and go back and watch that now. But I do have to say, this is a little off topic, but I was probably one of the few, but I enjoyed Rise of Skywalker enough. I was appreciative of the effort I thought Disney put to try to not make it political. I don't know. I felt like they at least tried and attempted to make me happy, and they didn't succeed necessarily. But I watched it again when it came out yesterday, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen it a second time yet, but I can imagine in rewatching them, because The Last Jedi, I only got to the part where Leia turns into Leia Poppins, and then I turned it off. I couldn't take it anymore.
Every time Rose pops out, I can't watch it.
Now, technically, Last Jedi probably is the better movie. Technically, like, you know, aesthetically, with the tone, the editing, overall structure, whatever, what have you. But just the horrible story choices in that one.
Sure.
The Rise of Skywalker is a hot fucking mess. But at least if I had to sit down and watch one right now, if you gave me a choice with a gun to my head, I'd pick Rise of Skywalker probably.
Well, because one is not like forced anal sex. You know what I mean? Like, dude, the Last Jedi just gave no fucks about us at all, and they made a film that's not, like you said, technically a terrible film. But
when Future looks back and judges a pile of crap, you know, is this the prettiest pile of crap, or is this, you know?
I think people will look back and look like, where did the real fracture happen in Star Wars fandom and mythology? I mean, you know, there's a clear point right there. Oh shit, we started losing money right here.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a good hour. I want to thank my guests, Kermit the Log and Tom from Midnight's Edge. Thank you for coming out, gentlemen. Do you have any sign-off wishes?
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, motherfucker.
Well, it's not Corona.
It's not Corona. All right, my name's Immortal Coil. We will talk to you later.